Welcome everyone, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Look, today we are taking on what has honestly become the absolute ultimate challenge in the entire automotive world right now. We are navigating the used car market on a strict, and I mean literally down to the penny strict, budget. Let's just be real for a second. Finding a genuinely decent car for under 10 grand today, well, it can feel a lot like hunting for a mythical unicorn. You want unquestionable reliability, you want a comfortable ride, maybe even a little bit of style to go with it, but you are hard capped at $10,000 in the 2026 market. It's an incredibly tough puzzle, but it's one we are absolutely going to solve together today. I am so pumped to guide you through this because if you arm yourself with the right knowledge, you can absolutely still find a hidden gem out there.
Right off the bat, I know exactly what you're thinking. You're probably saying, is it actually still possible to find a truly reliable car under $10,000 in 2026? Like, no way. And it's completely natural to be skeptical. Thanks to post-pandemic inflation and all those lingering supply chain hangovers, used car prices have been completely wild. But the answer is yes, absolutely. However, there's a pretty major catch. The days of being a casual Sunday shopper, just wandering onto a used car lot, kicking the tires and driving away with a screaming deal, those days are over. You have to act as a strategic buyer. That means knowing exactly what models to look for, knowing the exact fail points to avoid, and really aligning your specific everyday driving needs with the right chassis. Okay, let's dive into this matchmaker framework we'll be using today. We're going to group these vehicles by what you, the driver, actually prioritize. We've got 5 parts. 1. The 10K car challenge. 2. The kings of reliability. 3. Style, space, and tech. 4. AWD and hybrid heroes. And finally, 5. Smart buying rules.
Moving right into section 2, the kings of reliability. We're talking the Honda Civic and the Toyota Corolla. This is for the driver who just wants to get from A to B with zero drama.
Here's where our matchmaker framework really starts to heat up. Let's contrast the 2012 to 2015 Honda Civic with the 2011 to 2016 Toyota Corolla. So, the Civic, it gives you a fantastic 39 miles per gallon on the highway, it holds its resale value remarkably well, and it actually has a bit of that sporty, dynamic edge to the handling that Honda is so famous for. Yes, but it definitely comes at a cost. The interior plastics feel noticeably cheap. This generation was built right during Honda's post-recession cost-cutting era, and frankly, you can really feel it when you're sitting in the cabin. The Corolla, on the flip side, offers legendary, basically bulletproof longevity. You are essentially buying a car powered by an unkillable tractor engine that will easily hit 250,000 miles if you just keep up with basic fluid changes. But, that intense durability trades off with a very bland and uninspiring driving experience. Vague steering, sluggish acceleration, the whole shebang.
Now, what's really interesting about this is, here is a hard truth about the used market. Even the undisputed kings of reliability can turn into absolute financial nightmares if routine maintenance was ignored by the previous owner. If you are leaning toward that Civic, your red alert takeaway is to run far away from any car with a history of neglected timing belt changes or a zero documentation of regular service. It really doesn't matter if it has a Honda badge on the hood, neglect will kill it. If you're leaning toward the Corolla, your number one priority is to thoroughly check for wear on the suspension components, especially if you're looking at a higher mileage model. Sure, the engine might literally run forever, but you really don't want to be bouncing violently down the highway while it does.
Let's switch gears a bit. Section 3. Style, space, and tech. We're looking at the Mazda 3, the Ford Fusion, and the Hyundai Elantra. So, I want to ask you directly, what do you actually value the most in your daily commute? If you want genuine driving fun, really crisp steering, and a much more premium aesthetic feel, the 2012 to 2015 Mazda 3 is your standout merit here. It's an absolute blast to drive. But its biggest demerit? Well, if you live in the Rust Belt or anywhere they heavily salt the roads in winter, you've got to inspect that undercarriage closely, because these models are unfortunately prone to pretty aggressive corrosion. Now, if your priority is a spacious cabin, incredibly strong crash test ratings, and a massive trunk, the 2011 to 2014 Ford Fusion delivers fantastic midsize comfort. However, it's notorious for transmission issues, specifically with Ford's 6-speed automatic from that era. And finally, if you are a tech-savvy buyer who wants all the modern amenities on a tight budget, the 2013 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra offers unbelievable value. You can often find a fully loaded Elantra for the exact same price as a bare-bones base model Corolla. The catch, though, is that it loses its value much faster than its Japanese rivals, and it has slightly less predictable long-term reliability once you cross that 150,000-mile mark.
Actually, pause for a second, because I need to isolate a massively vital warning for you regarding the Ford Fusion. Having a plush ride, heated seats, and a super quiet cabin means absolutely nothing. Zero, if your transmission violently slips or fails completely while you're trying to merge onto a busy highway. If the Fusion is your perfect match, you absolutely must insist on a full service history and verify that any transmission software updates or recalls were actually handled by the previous owner. Seriously, do not just take their word for it.
Moving right along to Section 4, AWD and Hybrid Heroes. The Subaru Impreza and the Toyota Prius. These are the ultimate niche problem solvers.
And this brilliantly illustrates the stark differences when we talk about niche needs. When it comes to maximum fuel efficiency, the 2010 to 2013 Toyota Prius utterly dominates this price bracket, handing you an amazing 50 miles per gallon combined. I mean, compare that to the 39 mpg of the Civic we looked at earlier, or the relatively low 32 mpg of the 2010 to 2014 Subaru Impreza. It's night and day. But remember our matchmaker framework, right? The Impreza purposefully trades away that ultimate fuel efficiency to give you its standard all-wheel drive system. This makes it an incredible budget option if you regularly commute in snowy, icy, or just constantly wet conditions, where a Prius would literally just spin its tires and get stuck. Let's look just a little closer at that Impreza. Yes, it boasts stellar crash test scores, it gives you that legendary symmetrical all-wheel drive, and it has genuinely great cargo space for such a compact footprint. But vigilance on maintenance is the absolute key here. Older Subaru models are famously prone to head gasket leaks. Honestly, replacing a head gasket is practically a rite of passage for Subaru owners in the car community. Throw in the potential for early rust in harsh climates, and you quickly realize that while this is a highly capable machine, it is definitely one you simply cannot buy blindly.
Okay, I want you to literally just let this shock value number sink in for a second. $2,500 to $3,000. That is the potential battery replacement cost on a Toyota Prius once it hits around 150,000 to 200,000 miles. And here's the expert insight you really need to take away from this. Hybrid batteries degrade from age just as much as they do from mileage. So buying a 12-year-old Prius with incredibly low miles might seem like you just hit the jackpot, but it could still result in a $3,000 battery failure shortly after you drive it home simply because those battery cells are old. It proves a really important lesson. Extreme high fuel economy carries its own unique financial risks. The hybrid technology is totally proven, but you absolutely must get a hybrid battery health test before you hand over your hard-earned $10,000.
Which brings us perfectly to our final segment, Section 5, Smart Buying Rules. How to actually buy one of these cars.
So here is your absolute non-negotiable checklist for buying any car under 10 grand. Step 1. Prioritize maintenance records over cosmetic appearance. I cannot even tell you how many times I've seen a buyer fall totally in love with a beautifully polished, freshly waxed car that has a dying transmission hiding right underneath. A shiny paint job does not fix a failing engine. Step 2. Always check the VIN for open recalls and ensure they were actually addressed. Step 3. Always get a pre-purchase inspection by a certified independent mechanic. Honestly, it is the best $150 you will ever spend. And step 4, factor in the total cost of ownership. That means looking at insurance premiums and fuel costs specifically for your local area. Finding a car under 120,000 miles is definitely the ideal sweet spot for this $10,000 budget, but a documented service history, that is your ultimate shield. Never, ever compromise on that.
So,
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, really crucial question. Based on the matchmaker framework we use today, which candidate truly fits your personal driving persona? Are you the pragmatic A to B driver who just needs a Corolla? The snowy commuter desperate for the grip of an Impreza? Or maybe the value-focused tech lover eyeing that Elantra? And honestly, more importantly, when you do finally track down that perfect match, are you ready to stick to your new buying rules and demand the service records to prove its worth? The $10,000 challenge is absolutely winnable, guys, but it's entirely up to you to be the strategic buyer. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.